Hello friends, I am Samantha of Coffee Talks with Samantha, and today we have the first episode of Slumber Party with Samantha. Hence why I have this fuzzy onesie going on, and I'm excited. So if you don't know the concept of this segment on my channel, it is essentially a little like sister slumber party that wasn't even supposed to be a James Charles reference, even though I did use the artistry palette on my eyes. It's just this interactive segment where I ask you guys to send me questions or scenarios that you want advice on, and I offer my mediocre sisterly advice to help you directly, and I thought it would just be fun and have it be like slumber party with onesies, and let's jump right into it. I am going to change names if it doesn't say that they already changed their names, just for privacy's sake, just in case, because I don't want anyone coming for my neck being like, that's so embarrassing, you didn't have to tell them it was me. So I'm going to get into my first scenario now, and with that, let's dive right into our first scenario. It says, hello Samantha, my name is Chloe, I'm 22 from New York. I'm a fan of your show and figured this would be a great opportunity to get some of your personal feedback on a situation I've been dealing with myself. About 5 months ago, I started talking to a guy I've been acquainted with for years, and I really like him. Jimmy is funny, charming, sweet, hardworking, and we get along really well. The issue is we live very far apart. I used to live in Arizona where he lives, but I moved up to New York with my family. We only started talking romantically long after I moved back. Every year my family and I travel to Arizona at least twice for a couple weeks at a time, but on these trips we share a rental car. There are 6 of us, meaning that we have to plan our trips around this. These are family trips, so it's rare that we get to spend a lot of time with friends when we are there, which I don't really object to considering my parents pay for these trips and I do enjoy spending time with my family. Plus my parents can be a little nosy and protective when I see guys on their time, so I feel a little uncomfortable exploring this during a family trip if I won't have my own car to drive. Jimmy also recently moved to a city over an hour from where we are staying, which means I definitely need my own transportation to visit him. With a lot going on, it's become clear to me that our trip this winter will not offer me the time or opportunity to get together with him. I let him know this, explaining that I was deeply sorry and how I would love to come there one time myself so that I'll be able to plan my own trip with him in mind, and explain that this trip it wouldn't be possible. I let him know ahead of time so I wouldn't be disappointing him last minute when I'm already there, and gave him the heads up. He told me it was fine and that he understood, but then he wouldn't speak to me for days after that, and I finally reached out to him asking why and acknowledged that something was wrong. It turned out that he was bothered by the fact that we couldn't hang out, especially when he'd be willing to pay for me to fly out there separately, and thought it seemed weird for me to reject his gestures. I don't think he's as sweet as you think. While I think it's weird that he'd be willing to spend so much of his own money and energy to see me, I explained that I'm simply not comfortable having him pay for my trips. There you go. He ended up being understanding, accept my apology, and everything went back to normal. Fast forward to a couple days ago, as we get closer to my trip, he recommended that we get together another way, this time asking if we could meet at Antelope Canyon, which is a fun little landmark to visit and a little bit closer. Again, I explained my circumstances and he apologized. He was fine and said it wasn't my fault, but almost immediately after he said he wasn't feeling well and wanted to go to bed early. So he said goodnight and I said goodnight, and he has not spoken to me since. I feel terrible because I do understand his perspective, but I just don't understand why he would tell me something is okay when it is not. I feel as though I'm being punished or given some sort of silent treatment. I'm also feeling very guilty and anxious because I like him a lot and care about him as a person. My feelings are hurt and I'm not sure what to think, and figure you may be able to help. What would you do in this situation? How can I look at this in a way that will make more sense? What do you think his intentions are in all of this? What am I doing wrong to influence him to react in this manner? I appreciate any feedback you can give me, as you're so insightful and offer fresh perspectives on all of your videos. Thank you so much in advance. Love, Chloe. Okay, so this ding dong is getting mad at you for not being able to take the family car when there's 6 of you to go see him. And your parents are paying for everything, so like it makes sense in that manner to like not steal a car for a whole day if he's like over an hour away when they've no transportation otherwise. I understand like you're down there not frequently but like kind of frequently, so like you'd think that there'd be I feel it from his perspective, it's okay that you're leaving this one time. However, alienating you and like making you seem like your feelings are invalid by giving you the silent treatment and saying like it's not right that you wouldn't take up offers of a free ride down there to see him is a little like aggressive to me. It's not right to try to pressure you into something that, like, if you're not comfortable in the scenario and he's like pushing it further, I don't think he's as like charming as sweet as you think. I think he's trying to manipulate you into doing something you're not comfortable with by making you feel guilty when he should just accept your feelings the way that they are. And in all honesty, I would boy bye that bitch, because this is a red flag as heck, because you aren't even dating yet and he's already treating you in a way where your feelings aren't valid and he doesn't understand why you can't just do what he wants. And if you're not even dating and he's already acting like this, imagine when you're together how much more manipulative and inconsiderate he will be. I don't know him personally and how he would react, but I would like have that conversation with him, which it seems like you've already had to an extent. If it comes back up, like, I would personally leave it where it is, how he's not talking to you now, because there's no point. If you already explained yourself, there's no point in explaining yourself 1,000 more times to this ding dong that only wants you to live by his standards. Because even if your parents are a little bit more like, I don't want to say strict, but nosy, and this person is trying to fly you out, someone like, do they even know him? If they're nosy and they need to like be in on everything, like, I'm sure they'd be uncomfortable with that as well. Overall, I would just leave this guy in the dust. Leave it where it is. Like, don't stir any more pots that don't need to be stirred if he doesn't want to treat you the way that you should be treated, because you deserve to be heard and understood, appreciated, and like treated like a real human with feelings and emotion. Okay, the next one comes from someone in North Carolina. I'm gonna call them Danny. Hey Samantha, I watch your channel often, and with your new series I'm hoping you can help me. I'm in my mid-20s and I'm totally lost. I don't know what I want to do or be. I'm intimidated to explore my passion for cooking. My dream to open my own restaurant, because I don't know if it'd be a realistic goal. As a result, I bounce between jobs feeling unfulfilled and I don't know what to do. I'm at an age where I feel like I should be committing to something, but I just don't feel satisfied with these desk jobs and I feel that they are draining my creative energy. I'm feeling a little uninspired lately and I'm struggling to get that back in my current workplace. What should I do? Okay, I understand this entirely because I'm kind of in the same spot. I am at a job where it's not exactly what I want to be doing with my life in the end goal, but I do put myself into the job, and I know that that can be difficult to do. But what I would recommend is, like, with your free time that you have, so say if it's a desk job, you work 9 to 5, you have that morning and you have that night, and you utilize the time appropriately to work towards what you want to do. Like, for example, I mean, I'm working 2 jobs right now, so it's kind of a little bit more difficult to maintain like 2 jobs, a channel, a long distance relationship, a social life, and working towards things bigger and better. But I make it work, because if you want something bad enough, you need to prove to yourself that you're capable, and the only way to do that is to do it. Now, when it comes to opening a business, I'm not exactly savvy on that topic, but like when it comes to cooking, you have to feed yourself, right? Just experiment with new recipes at home, like different breakfasts and dinners, and even if you meal prep in different ways, and throw occasional dinner parties for your friends so you can explore that more, just to like be more in tune with that dream. And the more you learn, the more passion you're going to be able to put into it, and then you won't feel so intimidated by the idea of cooking in a bigger scale. Because if you throw dinner parties, say like once a month for you and your closest friends, and they can give you feedback and you'll get the idea of like mass cooking, it'll build your confidence towards what you already know that you can do, you're just afraid to do. And even outside of that, if you do an internship or some sort of like volunteer program, where if you work at like soup kitchens, or if you shadow at I don't know how restaurants work. If that's not a thing, I'm sorry, but like if you can shadow at a restaurant to like see what it's like to be in that environment, and if you just keep working your way up to it instead of like trying to quit your job and start now, like if you you know what I mean, where you might not be fulfilled in your main job right now, but there's ways around it to build up to where you, like how I will do this YouTube thing, which is what I want to ultimately do, is create content and help people, and this is what is helping me ease my way into that. But since I work 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. 3 times a week, and then otherwise just 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and I live an hour away from both jobs, so it's like I don't get home until 5 p.m. But if I have the energy mentally, then I sit down and film a video, because it only takes maybe an hour max. If I get home, make dinner, eat, it's 6 p.m., film a video, 7 p.m. You know what I mean? Like, you have to look at it in a way where it's almost like making a list, but making a schedule with your dream building up to it. Because otherwise you're going to be intimidated by the big picture when you can look at just the steps you can take now to work towards that big picture. Like how I'll film when I can, and that's why some weeks I'll miss a Wednesday Wisdom, and it's because I don't want to put out bad content. So if I'm not feeling good, I'm not going to film. Like, I'm not going to force myself to try if I know that it's not going to be the quality that I want. But when I have the time, I make sure that I make the time for it. So say if you work 9 to 5, you get home at 5:36, and then you have people over for 7, like if you prep things the night before, and then you just, you know what I mean? If you just work up to what would be bigger and bigger scale things, I don't think it'll be as intimidating. I feel like you'll have more confidence to be able to break out of this cycle of unfulfilling jobs and chasing what you ultimately want, because it's never too late to start living the life that you deserve. And the last one that I have for you today, I'm gonna name this one Katrina. Says, first off, I love you. I love you too. Second, I'm nervous to send this, but everything makes me nervous. So it's okay. I don't have any female friends, and my guy friends are too busy for me lately. So I don't have anyone else that I can talk to about this. So I've been dating this guy for about a month now and tend to get extremely paranoid in relationships. He and I talked last night, and I asked him for reassurance that he still wants to be my boyfriend, and he gave me the reassurance that I needed, but I still feel paranoid when he doesn't text back or ask to hang out. I've been through a lot of trauma with my past boyfriend, so it's hard for me to be normal in a relationship, but I don't know how to be better about it. How do I stop overthinking? I don't want to ruin this relationship. Always, always, always open communication. And this goes for everything. Like, whether that's you go on a date and you have a great time, express that. Don't just like go home and sit and be like, text him after and be like, I had a great time, thank you for spending time with me, blah, blah, blah. And just always keep those lines of communication open. If you want more reassurance, I'm not saying like it has to be a level of, I just peed, okay, now I'm walking to my bed, okay, now I'm gonna sit down, okay, now I'm logging into Netflix. Like, well, it doesn't have to be so in-depth that like you need to know every step of the way, but I feel like both the good and the bad things, always bring it up no matter what. It might be an uncomfortable conversation sometimes, and that's a thing that a lot of people avoid, I feel like. It's worth it in the end to just know. Either way, like say if something is bothering you and you feel comfortable talking about it with your partner, they will feel more comfortable expressing anything, whether it's good or bad. And I'm not saying that there will be bad things, but there will be like less than favorable things probably sometimes, I don't know. And I genuinely feel like that's one of the most important things in a relationship is communication. And if you express all of this to your partner, that you've just had these past traumas that make it harder for you to go without the reassurance that you're getting, they should be understanding. For example, I've talked about this a couple of times, but I get almost like these panic attacks when Jamie doesn't respond after like an hour or so because of what happened with Brian. Like, that is how I found out, essentially. I mean, intuition-wise, but we were just talking back and forth, and then all of a sudden he stopped texting me. So now, like, it's a huge thing. If I don't hear from her, like, for an hour or two, I'm just like, she's dead, great, awesome, like, but I always keep the line of communication open, being like, can you just tell me if you're feeling sleepy and like blah blah, so that I can explain it to myself when I start to panic, being like, oh, she just fell asleep because she was saying she was sleepy, like. And she is 100% supportive of all of that. And what I'm getting at is that a partner that truly cares about you as a human, you deserve to be treated like a human. They will be understanding that you are just asking for a little bit more reassurance because of like things that you've had to go through in the past. Not saying that you're like living in the past, but if they help heal you by giving you the reassurance that you need, then it's just beneficial for both of you. Because I feel like if this partner is always open and reassuring, then going forward you'll need less and less of that reassurance, because you'll have more confidence in the connection that you have, and that trauma will no longer affect you, or at least to a certain extent, because I know not everything can just go away. I truly think all you have to do is talk about it. Like, the more you bottle things up, the more you are hurting any situation, because you're not moving forward, you're letting everything go inward, and then it explodes into some sort of, it does no good for either party if you have no communication. It just ends up in resentment and insecurity, and why would you want that for your life? Just be open, communicate, and let the love flow. So those are the 3 scenarios I have for you today. I hope this was helpful to any extent for the people that submitted or the people watching. But the email is always open. I'll put it in the description below if you have anything that you want help with. With that, stay positive, my friends, and have a wonderful last day. Oh my goodness.